And it's going to turn around. There we go. Now I'm in the hole. That's good. You're perfect.
Now we're even.
Hi, this is BEAU'D from BEAU'D Not Broken, and we are up in Plain City, Utah with Jenn here. It took me a little while to get up here, and so I apologize we're a little bit late today, but we're here for the Daily Bend. And yesterday I was driving. I've been driving like for 3 days, but I put out a little call for anybody that would like to come on, and I appreciate you and those that helped bringing you and others to me. That it's great. This is the Daily Bend, and we talk about adversities. This is Adversity 101, and we talk about how faith and courage and endurance and other things that people have gone through might be able to help you out there, help me. That's the motivation here, is to talk about things and to expose things in a way where people might listen to something you say, or we say, and somebody says, and we can help somebody. And you're doing a lot of things, and what you're doing, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I want to thank everybody for continuing to watch, continuing to like and share, and please continue to do that. Been getting a lot of comments and phone calls and messages and things like that. So we must be doing something right. We'll continue to do what we can do. It's always a challenge to get guests. Sometimes we have rescheduling. So anyway, thanks again. This is every few minutes I jump in and say this is the Daily Bend, and we're talking with Jenn about this, just so you know. And I look at my watch because we don't want to go too long. So it's kind of a impromptu, all that kind of stuff. And so anyway, thanks. Thanks for being here. Again, we're in Plain City, Utah in the United States. For those that are outside the United States, we're starting to get a bigger following. So anyway, thank you for bringing me, or allowing me to come in your home. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and why we're here. Maybe, one or two, or whatever topic that you'd like to share that might help somebody.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to be on today. I really appreciate that. And I have to give a shout out to Jennifer Cooley, because without her, I would not be sitting here with you today. Yes. So I really appreciate her so much for thinking about me. I'm a mom. I have 4 children. Between my husband and I, we have 4 together, all over the age of 18 years old.
Wow. Wow.
So it's like 2 sets of twins. It's his and her children.
Very nice. So they're all gone.
They're gone. Well,
wow.
one is technically here 50%
one is kind of here. Okay.
One foot out the door, 1 foot in the door. But yeah, technically we're almost empty nesters. We're close. So it's kind of nice.
Very nice.
Nice.
Very nice and very sad, probably at the same time.
I think I'm over that sad
good.
part.
Well,
I'm ready for the next journey.
Party.
I'm ready for the next step. Time for us now. I'm ready to travel, whatever around the corner. I 13 years ago was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and that is what, for those that may not know? It's a digestive illness. It's an autoimmune disorder where the body attacks itself.
Okay.
And Crohn's disease is something that will never be cured. With medication, I can be in remission, which we're working on right now. I'm having a bit of an outbreak at the moment, but I do have bouts of remission.
How did you find out about it?
Oh, well, my husband and I, our family, and some very close friends were on vacation when I got sick.
Oh, great. Wonderful.
Yeah, we were gone on a camping trip, nowhere near home.
Right.
And my symptoms were different than what different people with Crohn's disease have. I actually started bleeding really bad.
Oh.
Digestively bleeding. Between that point and 2 months later, I had lost 25 pounds.
Wow.
Went from having a large intestine and being healthy to, we're going to go ahead and remove your large intestine.
So talking about eating, you talked about eating.
Eating's
challenging. Does the bacteria work in reverse? Like the good and the bad take over and really kind of eat your stomach? Is that what it does, simplistically?
Pretty much. I was ulcerated from one end of my colon to the other.
Okay.
So my body just looked at it like a foreign object, like it wasn't supposed to be there.
Right.
And so it turned against itself, and food no longer agreed with me. I was losing mass amounts of muscle tissue. I was very low energy, unable to work. and it just happened so quickly.
So quick. What did you think?
Well, it was a little scary. The first symptom I knew, because I was a medical assistant, so I was working for an internal medicine clinic at the time.
Okay.
I knew something was wrong.
Right.
I usually make the appointments for patients to go in and have their colonoscopies done. So I was like, yes, this is not normal.
It's me.
Now it's my turn. I'm on the other side of the table. Yeah. So within that period of time, the doctors tried really, really hard with medication and diet and everything just to kind of turn it around. And my body was just like, no, this is done.
Can this be deadly? I mean, can this be deadly like from the onset?
Yes, it can. Yeah, it can. It definitely can. I'm actually kind of lucky because when they removed my colon, it removed my chances of colon cancer, which are great.
Well,
and that was lucky for me. But being one of many that have an illness that's like this, we're not textbook.
Right.
So where one thing works for one person, the same thing won't work for somebody else, that's the challenge in its own. So it's kind of work with your doctor, try to work with food that'll work for you.
Right.
Exercise can be challenging. Medication's challenging.
You're watching the Daily Bend, and the Daily Bend is where we talk about people being BEAU'D. We talk about people having illnesses, challenges, adversities, things like that. And we've not really talked about Crohn's disease. We've not had anybody on before with it, and so that's what we're talking about. And we're kind of going through the progression of when Jenn found out, and then kind of how everything progressed. So you're losing tons of weight, and something's eating you up, and it's not the right thing, and you lose the small or
my large intestine.
Your large intestine, colon, the whole. At any point in there where you're kind of why is this happening to me?
I did the why me? Why is this happening to me thing, but then. Just like a lot of people who inspire me, it's the why not me.
That
a lot of other people are going through something even worse than I am, so what makes me any different or more special than the next person that would be to where I couldn't get this disease? Does that make sense?
Right.
It kind of woke me up because what led up to that was a whole nother segment. What led up to that was depression and stress and just hitting completely rock bottom.
So that led up to that. Do you
I
feel
believe stress
that
has a huge impact on your body. Yes.
Well, we've talked to people with MS, and we've talked to people with depression, and I mean a lot of the people, even some of the people that we've had on with cancers or even issues have had a lot, and we've talked about suicide, and we've talked to a lot of people about depression and about how that's kind of a normal thing. People go through depression, and so life was happening and depression was going on and things like that were happening, and you think this may have helped cause whatever was going on.
It was a huge factor of why my body broke down.
They say that it can spur MS or kind of manifest MS and other types of things.
Absolutely.
So lots of problems or challenges and things like that, and then all of a sudden this drastic changes in your life, or was it sweeping? We're sweeping you into the emergency room, and we're taking all this out. What kind of happened at that? What did you rely on at that point? What did you rely kind of inside yourself? What did you rely on?
It took me a while. It took the strength of my family. It took the strength of some very close friends that were with me during that period of time. Because I still was struggling from the stress part of it. That didn't even click until later that, I think I may have had a huge impact in this situation, that 23 years of life and stress and other things that I had been through or put myself through could have been a huge factor.
So you were how old? Sorry.
I was 23.
You were 23.
I've been living this for 13 years now, going on 13 years, so I'm 41 now.
Fairly
going
young.
On 41 this week.
Well, you're a little spring chicken compared to this old man. So at 23, were you saying, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to get stuff like this?
Right.
That had to be kind of a little bit of a shocker.
It was huge.
So that all happened, operations, all that kind of stuff. And so you've been living it You've been living with
28.
it?
Sorry.
You're
Wow,
28.
I don't even know how old I'm.
Well, even that's still
28.
young. Even
Sorry.
I would think that's still. Most people go.
Still 28.
My gosh.
Yeah. Right.
Wow, that's really young.
Yeah.
So you got things under control somewhat, I guess.
Somewhat.
And the doctors did.
We still work on it. I've been with the same doctor since my diagnosis. He's been amazing, which has helped me a lot. But I give myself at-home injections every other week to try to keep everything under wraps and to keep things in remission. I have to watch food.
So what's your day like?
Talk
about food. Talk about food. What do you have to watch?
Food's hard.
I don't want to interrupt you, but the food part.
That's the hard part. Because you want to be healthy. You want to be in shape. You want to be able to work out. Those are all the things that will trigger my Crohn's to come to surface. So fresh fruits and vegetables are super hard on my digestive system, which sucks because I actually really miss eating like that. Yeah. I can sometimes, but I know.
So what, can you have a bunch of Mexican food? No, I'm just kidding.
Right? No. Hot stuff, I think we'd probably be on the way to the ER.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, it hurts my stomach.
Okay.
And so there's a flip side. There's days where I can eat those same things and be completely fine. And then the next time I try to attempt it, then I'm double over in pain at home or in the bathroom all day long.
How do you know that, though?
It's a flip of a coin.
Wow. Okay.
It's not something that
So your day, what's your day like? Like a normal day or week, you know, is it kind of a guessing game for you?
Every day's different.
Really?
Every day's different. And it's hard because you can't see it. It's something that's internal that no one can see on the surface. And I still go to work every day, even if I am having an issue. I do what I have to do, run to the bathroom, do what I have to do, run to the bathroom. And sometimes that can be over 10 times a day.
This is the Daily Bend, and we're talking. We're talking with Jenn about her life and about her struggles and her trying to conquer. And I don't know if you ever conquer it, but working through and working with Crohn's disease. And so do you get up in the morning and do you know right off the bat things are different?
Not always.
In the morning? No.
It just kind of gradually comes throughout the day, and it'll just sometimes just hit me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't get up and go, oh, well, I want a peanut butter sandwich or whatever, or I'm going to go work out or what,
right.
You know, and in that workout you might, oh my gosh, something's going on.
Right. I can't push a workout really hard like I used to. I used to try to run on treadmill, and if I run too hard, that will flare. I'll go into a flare immediately.
Symptoms.
Which is weird.
Symptoms. I guess your symptoms before were ulcers.
Yep.
Pain.
And bleeding.
Bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
Externally.
Now it's pain and constant running to the bathroom with diarrhea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good because I mean there might be somebody out there and there will be somebody out there eventually that is going, oh wow, that might be something that's going on.
Right.
So every day's kind of a different type of a thing. Adjustments in the house, adjustments at work, adjustments everywhere.
Not really. Just because I don't want to stop living just because of my diagnosis. So no, not really. A lot of people at my work don't even know that I have it. A lot of people that I know don't even know that I have it. It's not something that you can look and see if it's written on someone's face and just be able to pull out ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, unless you're not feeling well.
Any family prior?
Not that I know of.
Do you know anybody prior to you having it that had it?
No, and that was the hard part. Being a medical assistant, I didn't even know. This is how uneducated I was back then. I didn't even know you could live without colon. I mean, that was when they told me they were taking it out. I was like, am I dying? Like, I don't know what's gonna. I don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring. I have no idea that you can even live like that. I didn't know there are so many people in the world that actually live with colostomy bags and live to the fullest.
Sure.
I had no idea. So when I had to do that for 2 months too, that was a huge wake up call for me. Almost humbling. It was almost humbling. I tossed a lot of materialistic things out the window at that point, just because life became more important to me than it was before I got sick. Interesting.
What about that? I mean, you don't have to go totally in depth, but what kinds of things did you throw out and just say, you know what, it's not worth it?
Well, money's not a big deal to me. Money's not a big deal to me. Quality time is huge, where that wasn't. I don't think that was necessarily on the forefront of my mind back then.
Right.
Memories every day. I miss the little simple things with my family and things with myself that I took for granted. Not loving myself was the biggest one. Because when I went through this right before I got sick and I had hit bottom, I was so depressed. I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about life. I didn't care if tomorrow even came. And when all this happened, I realized how important life was, and I wasn't ready to let that go.
So this was really a catalyst for you Crohn's was really a catalyst for you to say, hey, wait a minute, you know, I really have a lot to live for, and I have this and that, and I'm a fighter. And
yeah. I don't believe God gave this to me by any means, but I do believe God gave me that chance of accepting or not accepting myself. And I think I know Crohn's was a huge thing that I had to come to realization with, because I need to love and care for who I am, and I didn't do that at that point. That wasn't important to me.
That's something that's really important. I think it's a good point to reiterate and we've talked to a lot of people on the bend about taking care of themselves, and I'm probably one of the worst people for that. I'm trying, but I know a lot of people out there. I know even we all do, even as much as we try to, we don't take care of ourselves. We don't realize until something really bad happens is, you know, it's time for me. And it's not a selfish thing, you know, it's not it's a move me thing. It's a thing that strengthens yourself, that, you know, it makes yourself feel good about yourself for a little bit, about the day or the week or whatever it might be, and you're a better person, right? You're better. You had kids probably around the house at the time when you decided that, yes, I'm important, and I need to take care of myself, and I need to take care of the kids too.
Yeah, they were little at this point. My older ones remember a lot of what happened, but my younger ones don't remember. But I do know that next year of adapting to a new lifestyle and constant surgeries and doctor appointments, I missed out on a lot.
Wow. Okay.
I missed out on a lot, and I miss those moments. It's tough.
I guess I'm focused on food. Any foods you can always eat?
They tell you, textbook tells you with Crohn's disease to stick to whites. Your white bread, white rice, things that are easy to digest.
Processed foods.
Yes.
Okay.
Which are the things they tell you to stay away from, especially
yeah, exactly.
if you want to lose weight. Well, in my case, that's not the case.
So you kind of stick with processed, where you don't do the whole grain and the raw and the close to the source type food.
Because it's too hard to digest, and my system goes into
so you
panic
still have
mode,
ice
and
cream?
it hurts so bad. It made me lactose. So when I have ice cream, I'm home. Because I know where my bathrooms are and I don't have to leave.
When I have ice cream, I'm home.
I am home.
That's the plan.
That's right. It is very true.
So I really appreciate you sharing that. I know of some people, but it's a very quiet type of thing. You know, when I was I don't prepare a lot because I want it to be spontaneous and non-scripted, but I do know quite a few people that do have it. Let's talk about that. You are, you since having it, you're doing a lot to kind of help that whole world.
I used to be a support group leader for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. We ran support groups at McCady and Davis Hospital, and I remember we'd have anywhere from 2 people in a group to 10, depending on the situation. But like you said, it is a very private disease. Some people are very apt to, I want to talk about it, I want to get the word out there, and others are very recluse. It's embarrassing. I don't want to talk about my symptoms. I don't want to talk to people about how many times I have to run to the bathroom. I don't want to talk to people about the pain that I have to endure. I just want to keep it to myself. In being able to be in that environment, and another situation that I want to bring to light, because it made me so humbled, let me back up for a second. When I was going through my surgeries, I had the first malfunction with my colostomy bag. Mind you, I didn't know how to handle my bag. I didn't know other people, and this is my first support group, is trying to understand all this. Well, after I left that group, was released from the hospital and went home, everything malfunctioned. And I'm like, okay, this is embarrassing stuff because of the way the bag works. If anybody knows what colostomy bags are, I ended up in the ER that night. Just a little bit of manipulation from my doctors, and they were able to get it going. But at that point, having everybody around you and no control over your body anymore, I was like, all right, well, here we are. I don't care anymore. Like, it just made me, I wasn't shy wanting to be in the backdrop.
Do you think that's why? Do you think that's why, kind of back to a minute or two ago? You think that's why it's such a private thing? Is because a lot of people only have that choice, and only that's. I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see
absolutely.
That they're embarrassed. They don't want to say anything. They don't want anybody to know. They're wearing baggiest clothes they can find, probably. That kind of a thing.
Right. And that is why. That's why for me, it woke me up. I didn't care. I will talk about it with anybody. I will tell you how many times. I'll tell you whatever information you want to know. I'm an open book when it comes to that stuff, if I'm asked. I don't go out and tell everybody or anything. But the hardest part about having Crohn's and colitis in my support groups that we led is that no one is the same. And a lot of the family members and their spouses who want to help them so much but feel so lost and so alone and just they can't do anything, they just feel helpless.
Right.
I found a lot of people are just extremely angry with the situations. And so instead of coming to the groups and realizing, okay, what works for you might not work for me, a lot of them were so angry that worked for you, but it won't work for me or for my spouse. I'm not coming back anymore. That's the hard part, because it's not like most diseases and medication that will work for multiple people. This is something that is so different for everyone.
So you're losing people in the process of helping them.
It was hard, yeah.
So is there something you did to kind of turn that around, or how does that?
Still a process.
Is it still
We're
a process?
Still working on it. Yeah, I'm back in touch with the CCFA, and it's just a challenge. A lot of people and their families and close friends and things like that will rally up and be a support group, but then again, there's those patients that you don't want to lose, that you want to be a part of, but they're just very private, and it's embarrassing.
So you mentioned, is there like a national, or is there local stuff here in Utah, and then obviously is there anything in the United States? Is there support groups, hotlines?
There's a
groups
lot of
Facebook groups that talk about it, anything like
There's
that?
a lot of groups coming up now on Facebook that I'm just barely getting in touch with.
Oh.
There's a ton of new stuff, and I can get you some information on that if you would like.
Yeah, that would be something that would be nice to pass on to other people.
Absolutely. There's a site now that I love, because a lot of the people that are actually the patients and on that side of the coin are the ones that are coming and telling their stories, and it hasn't happened like that for a long time. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation is actually out of Colorado. We don't have an actual base here in Utah with that organization. Everything that I've come in contact with is outside of Utah. So there's nothing really here unless we're connected to as a support leader.
Except for
with those groups.
Except for you.
Yeah, living it.
And so you, furthering a little bit more of what you're doing, you do blogs, I
started a blog a while ago. I kind of fell off of it, but it's under construction and we're getting it back up there again. Okay. And I'd like to at least express myself in that, and hoping that I can touch one person or another through that.
How about other things? Are you doing other things?
I have some other books in the works. It's been a while. We're still working on it.
Sure.
I have a friend that's actually going in on it with me, because she also has some autoimmune illnesses, and we have a little package that we're trying to put together.
Trying to put a book together.
Yes.
What will that book have in it? I mean, the other question I had was, statistically, how many people have it? Is there a statistic that you just kind of get thrown into, this is the statistic, or age-wise, there's really no
because
nothing.
Even
it's just kind of
at the last group that I went to, we were finding little babies that were getting diagnosed with it, and that's rough. To see little 2-year-olds and 1-year-olds coming out with it and being diagnosed with Crohn's, it's a really tough thing to see. As an adult, I would rather handle it than see a child have to go through any illness or disease. But yet, the statistic used to be it affected elderly people. And then it was between 20-ish and this, you know, a certain age, that's where the groups should be. Now it's just kind of all over the spectrum. There's really not.
So everyone's affected by it.
Mm-hmm. Just depends on why it's coming to us.
And again, and again, we talked about earlier in the show, this is the Daily Bend, we're talking to Jenn about Crohn's disease and her life and other people's lives that she tries to help as well. It's interesting how everything kind of comes. It's really interesting how it comes full circle when, you know, you have something like this, and then what made you want to reach out and help people? I think that's something that is important to kind of highlight about you. What is it that made you want to come out and help other people?
Because when I got sick with this and I knew no one person that had ever been through it, I felt super alone. And I don't want anybody else that's going through this at home, living through this by yourself, to feel like you are alone. Because we're all in this together. No matter what it is we're faced with, we are never by ourselves. Right. We always have a shoulder to lean on, and it really gave me a bigger outlook on life. And life is so precious that I felt that was my second chance. Right. Granted, I am a human being and I fall off the grid all the time. Right. I trip up, I fall down.
Falling off the grid, that's a great way to put it.
It's true. And it gave me that second chance to keep going. No matter how many times I fall, I know that I'm going to get up. I know that I'm going to put one foot back in front of the other, and I'm never going backwards to who I used to be.
That's the premise of this show. That's really, you know, the whole BEAU'D Not Broken thing is about not giving up, and we can help each other kind of through life. There's all kinds of challenges that we go through, and you're a pretty amazing inspiration to a lot of people, and I'm sure will be inspiration to a lot of other folks. I hope you finish the book. I hope you guys get something going. I know I've been educated because I don't know anyone. I know some people that have had it, but I don't know anyone in my immediate family or grandparents. Maybe they did. I don't know. You know, that's an interesting thing. Maybe they did, but I didn't know about it.
Yeah,
and that's, you know, people very private about it, and we're not going to talk about how somebody's got a bag or somebody's got whatever.
Even on a celebrity fan base, there's a ton of actors and actresses and past presidents that have had it, but it's never been a topic of discussion, which is really sad. Which is
too bad, because you know what? We're all humans, and we all have, you know, we can have a knee replacement, or we can have we can, you know, have a appendicitis, but we sure as heck can't have Crohn's disease, where we might have to, you know, run to the bathroom a lot or whatever it might be, you know. Is there anything else you want to share about, you know, kind of your journey and through this whole thing, and how, you know, you might be able to affect others?
Kind of putting you on the spot. No, it's fine. The only thing that's really coming to mind right now is that I used to allow fear of anything, of trying anything or putting myself out there to stop me from getting out my front door. Mm-hmm. I have changed that process of thought with my Crohn's. I've now allowed fear to be the base of what pushes me to be a better person. Wherever that gets me, I know that I'm not going to let all this defeat me. There's always tomorrow.
That's great. It's funny how fear can be a great motivator and courage. Mm-hmm. And having the courage to actually ask questions or make changes in your life or whatever. Anything specific that you can think about that, yes, you just talked about that fear, not just with your Crohn's, but maybe another part of your life, or maybe you've been able to motivate your children in seeing that? Is there, because I know, you know, this is one thing, but there might be something else that helped them motivate. I know I'm kind of getting a little personal. But
no, it's fine. With I'm hoping that I did something to help my kids, but at the same time they have their own journeys they're going through right now, which they're in places that I wish they weren't.
Oh, yes.
So if places, I did,
not physical places, but places, yes.
Right. So if I did anything to help them, it's in their minds.
That example of mom, you know, pushing through.
I think I'm pretty sure that one day they'll be able to actually realize that. But at the moment, They're working out their own mud because they're stuck in their own situations.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
they'll figure it out, and they'll probably come back and say, "Mom and Dad, yeah, I
really
appreciate this
so.
example." You
really
hope so.
Hope so.
Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. And any information you want to forward and throw on, any we'll download this. I'll download this onto YouTube, and obviously it'll be on social media, and you can pull that off of YouTube anytime and use it if you need to. And we'll rebroadcast it, if you will, at all kinds of different times. But I'm glad I made the trek up, because I think it's one of those things where people, the minute we went on, it was like my lights went on. Not a lot of people talk about it, and we need to talk about it, and we need to expose it in a way that, there is help. You're seeing Jenn here that can help, and she's helped before, and I'm sure there are other people out there as well. So, we look forward to the book, and if you get that blog going again. And there's nothing like Facebook, obviously. Everybody's, Facebook, but you know what? A lot of people are on Facebook, and so if anybody has any questions or needs some help, I'm sure you're more than welcome. Yeah, I'm sure that you'd be welcoming them. She's Jenn, Jenn, Roundy, Roundy, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
She's on Facebook, and she's now one of my friends, and she's been. Any more plugs you want to give to anybody else out there?
You obviously, thank you for everything you're doing right now. It's helping a lot of people.
Go ahead, sorry.
And Jenn Cooley, thank you.
If there's anything else,
she's an inspiration to me.
Yeah, Jenn Cooley. Awesome. If there's anything else that we can do as time goes on, if in a couple months you get something going, and
absolutely,
let us know, and we'll kick it off, and we'll help kick it off.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank everybody for watching. Again, this has been the Daily Bend. BEAU'D Not Broken. You go to the website, BEAU'DNotBroken.com. That's BEAUDNOT, broken, BRO. Oh, we're still on. Nice. Hey, live TV. Thanks a lot. We'll see you tomorrow. And remember, it's all about the Bend. Thanks, Jenn.
Thank you.